maximum number of number 12 American wire gauge or AUG Romex cables allowed through a stud or joist hole is 3. Similarly, the maximum number of number 12 AWG Romex cables allowed through a 1-inch hole is also 3. For a 2-inch hole, the maximum number of number 12 AWG Romex cables increases to 9. It is important to note that there is no general rule specifying the number of cables permitted in a hole, regardless of size. However, these limitations are designed to prevent overheating and ensure safe electrical practices. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, provides guidelines to ensure electrical installations are safe and efficient. The NEC addresses conductor ampacity, which is the current carrying capacity of a conductor in amps, or A. Conductor ampacity can be affected by several factors, including ambient temperature, the number of current carrying conductors in a raceway or cable, and the type of insulation. When multiple current carrying conductors are bundled together, such as when they pass through a hole in a stud or joist, their ability to dissipate heat is reduced. This can lead to an increase in conductor temperature, which can degrade the insulation and potentially create a fire hazard. To address this, the NEC requires that the ampacity of conductors be derated when there are more than 3 current carrying conductors in a raceway or cable. Derating involves reducing the allowable ampacity of the conductors to account for the reduced heat dissipation. The amount of derating depends on the number of conductors and the ambient temperature. For example, NEC Table 310.15 provides derating factors for various numbers of current carrying conductors. If there are 4 to 6 current carrying conductors, the ampacity must be derated to 80% of its original value. If there are 7 to 9 current carrying conductors, the ampacity must be derated to 70% of its original value, and so on. In the case of Romex cables passing through holes in studs or joists, the NEC considers each cable to contain 2 or 3 current carrying conductors, depending on whether it is a 2-wire or 3-wire cable. Therefore, if more than 3 Romex cables are installed through a single hole, the ampacity of the conductors must be derated. In addition to derating, the NEC also requires that conductors be protected from physical damage. This can be achieved by using conduit tubing or other protective measures. When Romex cables pass through holes in studs or joists, they must be protected from nails or screws that could be driven into the wood. This can be accomplished by installing metal nail plates over the holes or by using self-drilling screws that are short enough to avoid penetrating the cables. The size of the hole through which the Romex cables pass is also important. The NEC requires that the hole be large enough to allow the cables to be installed without damaging the insulation. The hole should also be large enough to allow for adequate ventilation to prevent overheating. The NEC does not specify a minimum size for the hole, but it is generally recommended that the hole be at least 1/2 inch in diameter. In addition to the NEC requirements, local building codes may also have specific requirements for Romex cable installations. It is important to check with the local building department to ensure that all applicable codes are followed. When installing Romex cables through holes in studs or joists, it is important to follow these guidelines to ensure a safe and compliant electrical installation. Firstly, limit the number of number 12 AWG Romex cables to 3 through a stud or joist hole. Secondly, limit the number of number 12 AWG Romex cables to 3 through a 1-inch hole. Thirdly, limit the number of number 12 AWG Romex cables to 9 through a 2-inch hole. And fourthly, ensure that the cables are protected from physical damage and that the hole is large enough to allow for adequate ventilation. These guidelines are based on the NEC and are intended to prevent overheating and ensure safe electrical practices. The NEC is a comprehensive set of standards that covers all aspects of electrical installations. It is updated every 3 years to reflect the latest advancements in electrical technology and safety practices. The NEC is adopted by most states and local jurisdictions in the United States. It is important for electricians and other electrical professionals to be familiar with the NEC and to follow its requirements when installing electrical systems. In addition to the NEC, there are other organizations that provide guidance on electrical safety, such as Underwriters Laboratories, or ALL, and the National Fire Protection Association, or NFPA. UL is a testing and certification organization that evaluates electrical products to ensure that they meet safety standards. NFPA is a non-profit organization that develops codes and standards to reduce the risk of fire and other hazards. When selecting electrical products, it is important to choose products that are listed by UL or another recognized testing laboratory. These products have been tested to meet safety standards and are less likely to cause a fire or other hazard. It is also important to follow the manufacturer's instructions when installing electrical products. The manufacturer's instructions will provide specific information on how to install the product safely and correctly. If you are not comfortable installing electrical wiring yourself, it is best to hire a qualified electrician. A qualified electrician has the training and experience to install electrical wiring safely and correctly. Electrical work can be dangerous, and it is important to take precautions to avoid electrical shock or other hazards. Always turn off the power before working on electrical wiring. Wear rubber gloves and safety glasses to protect yourself from electrical shock. And never work on electrical wiring when you are wet or standing in water. By following these safety precautions, you can reduce the risk of electrical shock and other hazards. In summary, the number of Romex cables allowed through holes in studs and joists is limited to prevent overheating and ensure safe electrical practices. The NEC provides specific guidelines for darting conductors and protecting them from physical damage. It is important to follow these guidelines and to check with the local building department to ensure that all applicable codes are followed. When installing electrical wiring, it is important to take safety precautions to avoid electrical shock or other hazards. This information is for general guidance only and should not be considered a substitute for professional advice. Always consult with a qualified electrician or electrical engineer for specific guidance on your electrical project. Remember that electrical codes and regulations can vary depending on your location, so it's crucial to verify local requirements. Furthermore, improper electrical work can be dangerous and can lead to fire or electrocution. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, always hire a licensed and qualified electrician. The information presented here is intended to provide a basic understanding of Romex cable fill and related electrical safety considerations. It is not intended to be a comprehensive guide to electrical wiring and should not be used as a substitute for professional training and experience. Always prioritize safety and consult with qualified professionals when working with electricity. The principles discussed here also apply to other types of cables, although specific fill requirements and darting factors may vary. It's essential to consult the NEC and other relevant standards for the specific type of cable you are using. Proper planning and execution are critical for any electrical installation. Before starting any work, carefully assess the load requirements, circuit capacity, and wiring methods. Ensure that you have the necessary tools and materials and that you understand the applicable codes and regulations. When running Romex cables through holes, avoid creating sharp bends or kinks in the cable. This can damage the insulation and reduce the cable's ampacity. Use appropriate cable clamps or staples to secure the cables and prevent them from moving or rubbing against sharp edges. Consider using a cable management system to organize and protect the cables. This can help to prevent damage and make it easier to troubleshoot problems in the future. Regularly inspect your electrical wiring for signs of damage or wear. Replace any damaged or worn wiring immediately to prevent potential hazards. Remember that electrical safety is an ongoing process. Stay informed about the latest codes and regulations and take steps to maintain your electrical system in good working order. By following these guidelines and taking appropriate precautions, you can help to ensure a safe and reliable electrical installation. Always remember to prioritize safety and to consult with qualified professionals when you have any questions or concerns about electrical wiring. Electricity is a powerful force and it must be treated with respect.